Growing up in a Christian household, my parents were pretty strict about what I could consume. For the longest time, my mom didn't even let me watch SpongeBob because she thought it used too many mean and negative words, which, now that I've rewatched it as an adult, I kind of understand her point.
Someone should put you in a box floating down the river, Grandma!
You're probably right.
When it came to video games, oh my, I couldn't go near anything that was a first-person shooter or had any guns or any violence at all. So my only option was to play Nintendo games. At first, I was really sad because I thought I was missing out on like some communication skills that you develop in Call of Duty, but I don't think I missed much. So basically, instead of playing these games, I got to just bang on some bongos. I did manage to convince her to let me play Team Fortress 2 when I was younger, and the only reason she said yes to that was because it had hats. My mom saw this and was like, ah, yes, very Christ-like. But the urge to play non-Nintendo games left my body so fast once I realized as a child that Nintendo made bangers. And thanks to my grandma just spoiling me so much, I was able to play all of the mainline Nintendo games like Pokémon, Zelda, Metroid, Smash Bros, Wii Sports, Nintendo Land. I was even insane enough to somewhat enjoy Wii Music. And as I've gotten older, not only do I continue to play most of the newer Nintendo games, but I also would consider myself to be a Nintendo fan. But in 2025, being a Nintendo fan does not feel the same as it once did, or at least that's what the loud minority would want you to believe. This company has seen so many ups and downs, and as somebody who has been consuming Nintendo content for over 2+ decades at this point, being a Nintendo fan kind of feels just like this.
Oh, dude, thanks. A cookie.
The biggest outrage I see from people is that Nintendo has changed and they're not what they used to be. And I'm also guilty of saying that too, because whenever I look at the beauty of Heart Gold and then see a screenshot of Pokemon Violet, a part of me dies inside. And the worst part is that I kind of enjoyed playing Pokemon Violet, so I'm very conflicted. And with the Switch 2 being off the runway, I find myself now in a very interesting position right on top of a fence looking down at all of the Nintendo outrage. On one side, I see people claiming that Nintendo is evil and wants to drag us all down to the gates of a fiery furnace. And then on the other side, I see people who are willingly there to get spit on by Nintendo and are just like, oh yes, I love it when you do this to me. Please, I want to buy your plastic figures for $50. This internal war between people who care about Nintendo has been going on for so long, but as of late, it feels like it went from this little candle that erupted now into a bonfire. And the craziest part is that Nintendo are the ones that are drizzling the gasoline all over this. The console being listed at $450 was already a huge hit to a lot of people, and it's still a tough price tag to swallow. Although, when you kind of zoom out a little bit, especially with newer news, like $450 isn't the worst thing we're seeing right now. But the real kicker and the thing that made everybody see red was the game pricing. $80 for Mario Kart makes it pretty clear Nintendo gained a huge amount of confidence during the Switch era and decided, you know what, let's just set a new price trend for the entire gaming industry. Nintendo justified this by saying that some of the games were going to be worth $80 because of the extra content and the quality of the game, and it was a layered release and there was going to be so much to do. I really love Mario Kart, but it's just, $80 is kind of a tough hill to climb up. And you know what other game I also really like? Mario Galaxy, but I don't think I like it that much. Nintendo's also dipping into DLC, and it's not the way that you would expect. Good DLC is usually given to you like a year or so after the initial release, and it kind of comes in as a follow-up with extra content and more things to do, and it feels like, a little bit of an expansion to the game that you already had. Nintendo, however, have a bit of a different approach here. They love DLC so much that they're announcing it before the games even release. The new Pokemon Legends game already has DLC waiting for you to purchase, which is kind of trash because it makes you feel like they're cutting content just to provide you with DLC right when the game launches. And then for those of us who buy the full price of $70 for the game, you're left kind of thinking there's more content. I'm not even getting all of the content available, and I'm paying full price for the game. And it's so ballsy of them to do this with Pokemon, of all things, because these games just come out looking like infants. I mean, they're barely even finished baking in the oven before Nintendo decides to ship these bad boys out. This DLC practice mixed in with the higher prices kind of leaves a weirder aftertaste in my mouth. Like, I loved every second of Donkey Kong Bonanza, but then seeing a DLC drop 2 months after it for 20 bucks, already having paid $70, is just kind of a weird feeling. And then, not to mention, you know, now in the eShop it's like a $90 bundle for the entire thing, and that looks like the original price. It's just a mess. One of the biggest issues I find with the pricing is the fact that we have to also pay a premium on top of buying the console. We spend $450 so that we get the newer graphics and that we can play these games in the best settings possible. And then on top of that, we also have to pay an extra price just to get the 4K. Wasn't that the point of buying the console? Like, I don't understand. Nintendo's not the only one that does this. PlayStation also has like the PS4, then the PS5 edition. It's just like, dude, what is this? Why I'm paying money for your console so I can use the 4K, and then I'm charged again to play it in 4K that I spent on the console. It does feel like there's been a slight shift at Nintendo. Maybe they're just moving more transparent now and openly reveal how much they love taking money from you. But to me, Nintendo does feel a little bit more corporate and formal than ever before. Maybe it's because their branding is leaning a little bit more on hard specs and actually pushing the performance of a console really heavily for the first time in a while. There's no goofy gimmick like the motion controls or the 3D screen or like the hybrid pitch of the original Switch. And like, don't get me wrong, I didn't love the gimmicky stuff all the time. Like, I couldn't even take a dump with my Wii U because the connection was so bad, so it's like, what's the point? But it does feel like the pendulum has shifted from like the gimmicky goofy stuff to like
4K 120 FPS.
And the directs are of course less charming because now Nintendo know that we're all interested. Meanwhile, in the Wii U 3DS days, they're just like, please, somebody buy this console. I'll give you some puppets, here's some skits, just please buy a Wii U. And then there's the legal team patenting things like summoning monsters and kind of generic game mechanics just so that they can take down Power World. But this sets a scary precedent for any future game developer who even wants to make a monster catching game, because maybe they're going to be scared now to rival Pokemon and just get sued. Wait, this is a perfect time to announce, I'm so excited for this, that I have actually filed a patent for Caucasian man sitting in front of a camera talking about Nintendo. So I'm the only one that can do this from now on. So if you're watching this video, this is it. And then the final spicy chilte bean that gets dropped on top of all of this stuff is the anti-consumer agreements that you're signing away, where they can kind of monitor your game chat and then also break your console if they catch you doing anything spooky. So it's pretty clear that yes, Nintendo is evolving. And if I stopped here, this would just sound like another one of those videos on YouTube that's just like, Nintendo sucks, I hate Nintendo. But there's so much nuance here. Like, Nintendo have kind of always been doing this type of goofy stuff to everybody. Every era has had extremely high highs and very low lows. So this is nothing new. This is a roller coaster that's just always been going in loops. Increasing the price of ports and remasters, releases that are for whatever reason limited time only, the freaking price of Joy-Cons that drift harder than the entire initial D series, Amiibo Festival being a thing, Wii Music, 3DS launch prices, removing the GBA slot in the DSi. I actually found this thread from 2009 where people were arguing about the removal of the GBA slot, and it's so funny because it reads like it was literally yesterday when people were arguing the same thing about Nintendo. DSi is a pathetic attempt to further milk the DS market instead of giving us a new handheld. DSL for life. And then you got somebody defending the DSi with an entire essay that just ends with, "You people make me sad." So it's clear to see that being a Nintendo fan, especially if you're a spineless fence sitter like myself, is a rather tragic existence. My childhood was literally shaped by these games. I seriously believe that my brain works the way that it does because of the specific Nintendo games I played as a kid. Even modern releases continue to shape the way that I think. I thought Bonanza, like I said, was a great game and an explosion of color that got my brain spinning in ways I hadn't felt in a while when it comes to video games. Literally for decades, these Nintendo flagships have inspired millions. And having grown up surrounded by Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, and Matt splitting my cheeks in half, I always have a deep foundation motivation and love for these games that gave me all of the memories. And that same love also fuels my adult's brain to either be blinded by nostalgia or just completely confused when I see a corporation like Nintendo acting like a corporation. So in the wise words of Sir Patrick the Star, it would seem we have reached an impasse. And the solution, like everything else, is just finding balance. Gone are the days of console wars. If you support and like are a die-hard fan of any company in general, it doesn't have to be video games. Unless, actually, no, wait, there's a Soldier Boy 2 handheld that's dropping. I'm a fan of this. As gaming grows and prices rise, I just want to remind everybody that we've got so many more options than you would think. I'm not sure what type of setup you have, but you should be utilizing every piece of hardware you have if you're into gaming. So if you have a phone, there's so many things that you can do on that thing. If you've got a cheaper laptop, there's still some great games on Steam that could probably run fine on there. Picking and choosing popular new releases that you actually do care about. And if you're strapped for cash, you can buy an RG35XX from Ambernick and just dive into the retro catalog. Personally, I've been in a really good mode of balancing all the games that I currently own and replaying some classics while also dipping my toes into the newer releases like DK Bonanza. I played some Mario Kart World. I'll probably be picking up the new Pokemon to see if I want to just die. I've been playing a ton of TF2 with my wife. Just the other day, I finished a brand new run of Terraria. I forced some of my friends to play Bed Wars with me. I'm also replaying all of the DS Pokemon games, and it has been a joy. I bought Silk Song for like 20 bucks, bro. Like, there's options, man. There's so many things. I'm sure you all have catalogs of games you could go back into. Like, you don't always need the new thing. And even if you want the new thing, if you really want it, then get the new thing. The internet and all of these places just love to scream that everything is crashing and burning, and it's just honestly always been crashing and burning. Nintendo is just a current example on the chopping block, but companies have been trying to squeeze every ounce of penny and dollar out of you since the beginning, and we're just adults now with eyes to actually see it for what it is. But don't let this ruin you. If you can see the bad stuff, then that means you have the ability to witness the greatness that's right in front of us. There are still so many beautiful memories to be made, whether it's with older games or the occasional new release, and as somebody who's also played video games professionally, I would like to remind all of us that we can, in fact, go outside.
I just wanna spend some time with you, we ain't gotta be pressed, why add to the weight? I just wanna get some time with you, we ain't gotta say much, though I might hesitate. Tell me about the things that you've been through, I don't mind taking on more for a new smile. I'll be there for you, I'll be there for you.